What's up, guys? James Miller Media here, coming at you with our off-season episode and season roundup episode of our 2025 season. For those of you who don't know, the Seattle Mariners went on a pretty decent run, got stopped by the Baltimore Orioles, who were eventually the runner-ups of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Overall, I would say it's a very good season, but not the season that we wanted to have. Overall, we took steps in the right direction and we made right stats. We made right adjustments. We had an overall positive record the entire season. We were in the race the entire season, fell off a little bit towards the end of September. And a lot of that had to do with a lineup that was not good, to say the least. We didn't care about batting average. We don't care about on-base percentage. We slugged very well when we did hit, had good WAR, but just overall did not put it together when it mattered. Hit a lot of homers too. But that's in contrast of having one of the best team pitching staffs in baseball, which is really our bread and butter. Let's go ahead and look at our pitching real quick, just showing you what we have. I have it over here located, or everyone's roles as what they're probably going to be when it comes to next year. These non-specified are guys who are going to be free agents. Aroldis Chapman was a rental, Kenley Jansen was a rental, and Raisel Iglesias was a rental. All three of them performed admirably in their duties. In fact, Aroldis Chapman actually shoved. And I would even say Kenley Jansen shoved. The thing is, they're going to be a little bit too expensive. Kenley Jansen being the cheapest, and he's looking for $8 million over 3 years. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to tie up $8 million in a reliever whenever I think I could do better with less and buy my relievers late. I don't think I need elite relievers. We have Andreas Munoz here. We have Matt Brash. We have Mason Miller coming back off of IL. We have our three-headed monster. And then not to mention, we have Keegan Akin, Garrett Clevenger, Colin Snyder, and Tyler Holton, who all did a decent job. So we eventually found our bullpen of the future. They're going to be kind of cheap and controllable here for a little bit, but the window is closing for this specific group of relievers. On top of that, just looking at these four players right here, these are kind of my swingmen / I don't 100% know what to do with these guys. Emerson Hancock absolutely delivered above average performances whenever he was playing with us. Let's just take a look at it right now. CRA plus was up at 125, so 25% better than league average. His FIP minus was 25% worse than league average. So he was getting, whenever he wasn't relying on his defense behind him, he really was not doing a good job. He was getting hit and getting hit hard. But ultimately, his job was to eat innings of a wounded pitching staff, and he took 71 innings away from essentially Brian Wu, who also pitched 71 innings. But the difference is, at his 27% better than league average, he didn't need the fielders behind him. Brian Wu this year is starting to get into that $108 million extension that we signed him to. So hopefully he still has life in his arm, even though it was a back injury. Taylor Saucedo just did not do well for us. I actually think that he is going to be non-tendered by us. He is arbitration eligible, and just ultimately there's better lefties than him. We don't need this lefty. I would rather look for a Garrett Clevenger or a Clevenger, whatever his name is, and Tyler Holton style. Mitch Keller came in and he 8 innings. He had 101 innings of 2.85 ERA ball. He's a guy who I'm going to keep on the staff. He's great, high leader, low financial ambition. I mean, his contract, I think, maxes out at $9.2 million. So he's a guy, if he's getting us 100 innings plus at $9 million a year of pretty decent ERA, we're going to take it. I don't care. George Kirby regressed heavily. And this year is going to be costing somewhere around $6 million. That's not bad, but he got hurt twice. He really wasn't that great for us, and I think it's time to offload him for some holes that we need to fill in the future. Um, there's a couple ideas I have in mind, but he's not a guy who I'm going to sell now automatically, but he's a guy I'm thinking about selling because in reality, we only have one more starting rotation spot. I wouldn't mind picking up a lefty to take over one of these spots, but I'm not going to go out and sign a contract. I'd rather trade for one with some of the pieces we have in place. Luis Castillo just absolutely dominated this year. 178 innings. That's all you can ask for from a workhorse. Between him and Logan Gilbert, just absolutely shoved. Sure, it was 100. It was 13% better than average, but his ERA 350. Sierra 306, FIP 360. So giving us 3 WAR over 178 innings is all you can ask. He struck out a lot. He did give up a couple of home runs, I believe. Yeah, his home runs per 9 was a little bit higher than it has been in the past. But ultimately, when it mattered, he came in and he was clutch. Logan Gilbert might be in the short list for getting a Cy Young. He won the ERA crown at 287. He also did that over 204 innings. Also got how many strikeouts? 208 strikeouts. His whip was right at 1. Like, you cannot get better than this. This was awesome. I might see if I can lock him up to a slightly short-term deal, 5-year deal, just to get him locked up because he has been extremely consistent, right at around 200 innings for the last 3 years, right between 370 to 280. Like, we love that type of a workhorse for us. This is just a guy who's going to be great for us. Bryce Miller was the last of our pitchers. His FIP was left a little bit to be desired. Tried locking him up long term. He was pitching out of his mind, kind of came back down to earth at a 370, but we will take a 4th starter pitching almost 175 innings at 370. This is just a great guy to have on the team. So if we can get him to a 5-year-ish deal with an annual value below $10 million, I'm going to do it. If not, we're going to just arb with him. But going over our bullpen, Andres Munoz might be reliever of the year, but Felix Bautista probably has something to say about that. ERA plus ended up being 175, FIP minus at 50. This guy just did not let people hit the ball at all. Absolutely electric for the back end of our bullpen. We have him locked up for a couple more years. So we absolutely love that. Matt Brash, we also have locked up for a little bit. He's going to be in that 5-year, $21.7 million deal starting next year. So we'll have him till his age 32 season if he keeps producing for us. We also have Mason Miller coming back. He's still on IL. Garrett Clevenger, we traded for him. He did phenomenal. He's going to still be in that lefty specialist slash setup role. Keegan Akin was another guy. We claimed him off of waivers, and he absolutely did a job. He's going to be our left-handed specialist for sure, just because he does a good job against lefties. Tyler Holton, traded with him with Detroit. He came over a little bit of a regression, but he's a guy who kind of swings both ways. He's going to put the ball exactly where it needs to go. He's not going to give up a lot of hits, a lot of runs. But when it does get put in play, it gets put in play hard. Not going to strike out a bunch of people. He's going to give up a lot of soft contact. So he's a guy, if we can lock up for about 3 or 4 years, I'm going to try and do it. Colin Snyder also did pretty decent for us this year. Pitched slightly above average, slightly above average FIP as well. Gave us 1 WAR out of a middle relief spot, 854 innings. Like, you can't ask for better than this. If he's anything above 3 to 5 million, we're not going to bring him back, but he ultimately was a very serviceable piece of this bullpen that's going to be long-term. So overall, big question marks are between what's going to be this 5th pitching rotation spot. What can we potentially get from George Kirby? Mitch Keller is going to stay on the roster. Just don't know if he is going to be on that 5th spot or the long relief spot. And then Emerson Hancock is also might just be a guy without a position who we may need to just trade now to get some value out of. Overall, extremely happy with the way that this pitching staff came together. And I think we have enough momentum for next year to continue to improve. Now, the lineup looks a lot different. This is something that I know and you know, and we all know is going to be interesting. Number one, we thought we had a breakout player in Ryan Bliss, and he came down to earth and came down to earth hard. He originally was almost 200 OPS plus. In fact, let's look at our batting splits month over month. We're just going to look at major leagues. In March, May, June, July, amazing. August and September, terrible. So just a guy who we need to make sure is just a bench guy. I think Ryan Bliss has relegated himself to being a bench guy. Second base, shortstop, we're going to get him trained up at third base. Potentially might also get him trained up in the corner outfield spots just to be a guy off of the bench. That's all I see him as. Real quick, Alex Bregman has declined his option. When we brought him over, we thought he was going to be a good guy for us. He's just not going to be it for us. So Alex Bregman, your services have been appreciated. We do appreciate it. And then the last guy who is going to be a free agent as well is Lane Thomas. He came over. He really did not produce for us when he came over. Thought we struck gold. So April 108, May absolutely torched it. June terrible. July awesome. August not great. September did okay. October fell off a cliff. Hate to see it, but Lane Thomas just was not the guy who we wanted to get. He's asking for like $19 million a year, and I'm sorry, that's just, if we're gonna get this type of production from $19 million a year, I'm not gonna do it. I need Cal Riley, Julio Rodriguez levels of production. So that being said, Julio Rodriguez, 5.9 WAR over 144 games. He missed 2 weeks with a concussion. Overall, just absolutely great year. 260 average. Scored 89 runs for us. He really was the catalyst of a lot of our offense. 33 home runs. Can't complain. Jorge Alfaro just was a waiver wire call up. Really did nothing for us. He's going to be released after this year. Lazaro Montes might be one of our guys that we're going to build around. Plays right field at a decent clip, but he's probably going to be our everyday left fielder. Looks to be potentially one of our next breakout stars. If he can tap into this power as well, that would be awesome. If you can see, this is a lineup that doesn't care. We're going to try and hit homers. Cal Riley started to struggle really bad against right-handed pitching for some reason. So let's look at the batting splits. Against left-handed pitching, Against left-handed pitching, 183 average. Terrible. Against right-handed pitching, mashed. 255, 319, 507. OPS of 826. I would like to see that OPS up in the 900s because that's the money he will be making. But overall, started slow, and then in July, August, September, absolutely went nuclear. August and September in particular, he did phenomenal. So hopefully we can continue to see some growth out of him. I would love to see Big Dumper keep dumping it out into the seats. So looking at it right now, we know Cal Riley, we know Julio Rodriguez, and we know Lazaro Montes are going to be the core that we build around going forward. JP Crawford next year is going to be making $12 million. Great. Overall, OPS plus of 123, 123. All right. Honestly, not a bad season, but he just was hurt the entire year. 216 average. Kind of know he's going to bat 200. He's going to get on base at 350, and he's going to, 234 is not bad. Maybe needed a larger sample size, but I think he's a guy that we go ahead and we put on the block. See if we can get anything from him. Luke Raley, another one. We're just going to put him straight onto the block. Luke Raley ended up having a 22% higher than average OPS plus. Like, he did not have a bad year. He got 23 home runs, didn't really ground into double plays, ended up being a above average first baseman for us. He's a fan favorite. He's a guy who I'm not going to force myself to trade, but he's 31 years old. I think he absolutely outplayed his bat here. And I really do think he's a guy that we move on from this year. Ryan Bliss, again, he's going to be bench player. Lane Thomas, we're moving on from. Spencer Steer is a guy who I want to get trained up to play everywhere. We know that he can play first base. We're going to train him up to second base. We're going to train him up to third. We're going to train him up and right as well, because I guarantee you, he batted 135 for us, had one WAR in 48 games, 39 games started. He's just going to come and he's going to hit. I promise you. Also, in the background, sorry if you hear any construction. I thought they were done. Looks like they decided to trick me out, and they're not done. So I know it's bleeding into the background. I'm sorry, there's not much I can do about it. So Spencer Steer is going to be in some sort of a utility everyday player role. Jace Young, this guy has been a disappointment so far. If you look, though, batted right around league average. Man, he just needs to get on base, hit a lot more. But in AAA, he's got it figured out. We're going to train him up as a first baseman as well. He may be our everyday first baseman, bats left, throws right. I know this is a guy in real life who's a dog, so let's just hope that he can get into some of this potential. See a little bit more of that BABIP. If he can get that BABIP up to 50, we are going to be okay. So Jace Young, again, he's a guy who I want to have in a utility role, potential first base role. Next up is Esteury Ruiz. He had a pretty decent time with us. Was okay for the Athletics, came over, was just about the same for us. He has a lot of trade value, right? He's a great outfielder, can play all three positions pretty well. He is about to be arbitration eligible, and I think I'm going to trade high on him. Really does not get on base at the clip that you'd want him to get on. I think he's actually a fourth outfielder more than anything. So yeah, he's a guy who I think we're going to move on from this offseason, because we have Jake Mangum waiting in the wings, who is a better outfielder, apparently, has better personality, and I just think he's going to come up and he's going to do a job, set the table, be that fourth outfielder, potentially starting outfielder. But yeah, I just want him to be a backup outfielder. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm kind of leaving a hole in right field to potentially go pick up someone. I don't know who it's going to be, but we'll just have to see if anything comes to fruition. Next up, Javier Baez. Started off the year very strong, kind of came back down to earth. Looking at his batting splits, had all right. He had a hot April and a hot June, but average May, terrible July and August, and then back to normal in September. Big thing about him is it's his glove. He has good range. He has a good zone rating. Looking at his contract, 80% of it's being retained. So let's just go and actually see how much that is, just because I am curious. Javier Baez is making $5 million this year, 4.8 next, and 4.8 the year after that. I think I would rather have Javier Baez on this team than JP Crawford at $12 million, but you'll see in a second. I have both of them on the block. Alex Bregman, gone. Brooks Lee is another guy who I want to figure out some space for him in a utility role. He's a guy who we have locked up to a long-term contract, maxing out at $6.5 million. So he is going to be here for the long term, but he's just a guy who should, in theory, get on base. He just needs to tap in a little bit more into that BABIP and I, and he's going to be a guy who could play every single position on the infield and in the outfield. So we're going to get him. Sorry about the background noise. They just decide as soon as I start talking to continue hitting. So I'm going to not point it out anymore, but it's just getting frustrating for me. Brooks Lee is going to be that utility guy, and he's going to just be trained up everywhere. Zach McKinstry, he's getting traded. We have enough utility guys. This is the role that Brooks Lee is going to play. He's on arbitration. I just don't see that we need him. Yeah. Harry Ford, he is going to be our catcher versus left-handed pitchers, and he might turn into an everyday player. Look at how good he could play first base, third base, left field, right field. He should be good. He needs to tap into his power, and he needs to tap into his eye just a little bit more, and he's going to be perfect. Love to have him on the team long term. But look at this. Our infield is an entire question. Our outfield is an entire question, our outfield is set. We need a right fielder. Shortstop is going to be decided. Well, let's just throw in tentatively Javier Baez. This is what we want. So looking at it, if Jace Young and Brooks Lee can take steps forward, or Spencer Steer, we're fine there. We need one guy in the 1 or 2 hole. We're fine there. We need one guy in the 1 or 2 hole to set the lineup, and potentially one more guy in the middle of this lineup. Looking at it, it might be a Michael Arroyo, who's just an average guy all around, but I actually think I'm going to trade him. I just don't see him being a long-term asset for us. The big guy who I think is going to be our guy to go after this year is currently in the development lab. And let's look at that. So we have Lazaro Montes tapping in a little bit to that plate potential, just because if we can get that BABIP up, that contact up, I think he's going to naturally tap into the power in the eye. And he's going to be a great left field, right fielder for us in the future. Jace Young, quality of contact. He's got to get that BABIP up above 50. If he can do that, he's going to be an everyday player for us. Harry Ford is going to generate bat speed. He's got to get that power from 35 to 50. If he can fill that out, he is versatile and is going to be an everyday player for us. Brooks Lee coming in, what is he? Plate discipline. He needs to tap into that eye a little bit, into that void K's, needs to put that ball in play, and he will be okay. Cole Young, this is the guy who I think can step up and potentially be another guy for us. He dropped down, I believe he's climbed to top 20 prospect in baseball. That is huge. That is absolutely massive. So we're going to have Cole Young. He's not going to strike out. He has good gap power, great eye. Let's just hope that he can tap into all of this and be a franchise second baseman for us. Next up, jeez, I know you heard that one in the background. Decided to give a little bit of love to our top 2 prospects. Dean Livingston, he's number 4 prospect in baseball right now. He really does look like he's going to do very well. In fact, I'm going to see what he's going to look like in A-ball. He might be a little bit overmatched in A-ball, so I'm not going to call him up just yet, unless if he does get a development improvement. We're just going to have him improve control. If he can get that control from 30 to 35, I'd feel a lot more comfortable with him. He already starting on 4 pitches. I just think this is going to be a good guy to have long term. Also have Merrick Houston coming in on plate discipline. I think that his avoid Ks and his eyes got the farthest to go. Great all around infield. So let's just hope that he can put it together. And then last, we have Colt Emerson coming with quality of contact. He is number 6 prospect in baseball. Probably going to see if we can train him up as well in the outfield, just with the 60 range. He looks decent. Also apparently can catch a little bit, but that's not going to be something that we do. Ultimately, these are the guys that we're going around. We have the pitching already. Let's see if we can get some of these infielders, outfielders to put it all together. Next, let's go ahead and look at some of these international amateurs. Looking at it, I've already come around with a list. I don't like the look of this guy. His ratings just aren't great. In fact, I'm just going to look at the guys, and I'm going to show you the guys who I am already scouting for international, just because it'll be a lot easier. All right. So these are the 10 prospects that we are going after. Overall, they just look good. So this guy, 4-pitch mix, the control's a little bit low for me. But the thing is, the development risk of medium and advocates original, this is pretty good. So might have to go for a pitcher. Dave Guerrero, just absolutely awesome bat. Good infield range, just can't turn a double play. Should also be decent at third base. So just some guy to look out for there. Manny Gutierrez, not going to set the world on fire with his defense, but is going to have a decent bat. Problem with him is his development risk is extreme. So Alfredo Nada Blackjack is some guy who has potentially otherworldly power, great speed, good infield range. It's probably going to be a second baseman, but has that work ethic and baseball IQ that I absolutely love. This is a guy who I definitely want to potentially go after. If his infield range was a little bit better, it'd be a lot less of a question for me. Jose Rodriguez, he looks good. The only thing is that doesn't run out ground balls often, just shows that his work ethic's going to be low. The gap power of 90 with the speed is awesome. The eye potential, the avoid case potential, this is awesome. If you have this much gap and this much speed, I don't care about this power. Line drive, spray hitter, love this type of profile. El Gasolino. We got Klondike Romero here. Work ethic, financial ambition, high contact, high BABIP, high gap power, line drive hitter, great all around. Eyes already a little low, avoid K's is a little low. Outfield range and outfield air and arm are great. This is a guy who I like targeting because it looks like he's going to put the ball in play, but I just don't think his eye is going to be the greatest. Ketak Park looks like he's going to just be a solid hitter. Doesn't have the best speed, but much of his career arc will be what happens to him. Want to see a little bit more of his personality before I go all in on him. The outfield range is great, but he's going to be a left fielder. Another reason maybe not to go after Mr. Park. Danny Valdez, good blocking, good framing, not great arm. Great contact bat, but isn't going to do much with it. Probably not going to go for Danny Valdez. Tony Cartenega, whatever. Absolute world beater of an outfielder. High loyalty, low financial ambition. This is a type of guy who I wouldn't mind building around. He's a table setter, defense first guy. This is a guy who I wouldn't mind having in our organization. Yeah, love the profile. And last we have DJ Hernandez. Relaxed and confident, aggressive when needed. Good outfield range, decent bat. He's not going to get strikeouts, but he's not going to put the ball necessarily where it needs to. Overall, I'm still, if he's going to be 3 million or 300,000, I think I'm going to get him regardless. He's going to be my first priority. And then I'm going to just max out my bid of one of these other guys. So we'll just have to see. A lot of these other players, if you look, terrible contact, terrible avoid case. He's going to hit the ball hard and he's going to walk a lot. 3 true outcomes, but ability, I'm not a 3 true outcome player. This guy just did not like his look. He's not truly a catcher. Jose Trevino. Just again, there's some things about these other guys that just turn me off of them. All right, we have made offers to, let's look at arbitration. So we've made offers to Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Bryce Miller, Keegan Akin, Garrett Clevenger, Tyler Holton, Mason Miller, and Spencer Steer. We're holding out on Esteury Ruiz, Zach McKinstry, Luke Raley, Taylor Saucedo, Josh Fleming. Josh Fleming and Taylor Saucedo both have 0 trade value. So we're just non-tendering them, letting them go to free agency. And then Esteury Ruiz, Zach McKinstry, and Luke Raley, we're trying to get a trade package together for these guys, see if we can get an upgrade somewhere in the outfield of someone who's either a prospect or on the prospect radar, someone young, controllable. And yeah, looking at our offers, you can see most of them are in the 5-ish year range. Mason Miller, we offered him a 5-year, $40 million deal. Would love to be able to get that. That gets him through 32, I believe. Also, Bryce Miller, his value came all the way down. This was very similar to the salary that we offered him at the beginning of the year. And I think he realized, oh, I came back down to earth. Let's go ahead and make sure that I make almost $50 million. Blake Hunt, he's just a minor leaguer. Just want to keep him in the organization as organizational depth. Spencer Steer, just going ARB to ARB with him because he wants too much money once he gets out of ARB. Tyler Holton, again, it's 3 years of ARB, 2 years of free agency afterwards is what we're trying to collect on all of these relievers. So he is going to make $2.3 million for the next 5 years. That's totally fine. Logan Gilbert, we came in below his $14 million ask at 13.9, probably going to accept that. Garrett Clevenger, a 4-year deal, saves us money this year, saves us money the next year, and then we can team option out of the last 2 years. George Kirby, offered him $6 million for 1 year. He may just be a guy that has to stay. And then Keegan Akin, 3 years at about $3 million. So ultimately, our pitching staff is going to stay together. I'm going to need to do a lot of work on the pitching or the hitting side of things. So let's start getting this year underway, this offseason underway. Well, actually, we're going to get that offseason underway in the next episode. That's a lot to go off of right now, but until then, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching.